Most people measure performance by output, how much you produce, how fast you move, how often you win. But there's an invisible layer of reality that those measurements can't touch. Beneath the grind and strategy of peak performance lies something deeper, something fundamentally misunderstood, yet incredibly powerful. That something is the quantum layer of existence, and understanding it could completely change how you perform, how you grow, and how you succeed. This isn't philosophy dressed up as science. This is about how the actual principles that govern the behavior of particles, on the smallest scales of existence, can offer actionable insights for dramatically improving the way you live and work. Let's start by addressing a crucial truth. The mind is not a passive observer of the world. It is a co-creator. In quantum mechanics, the universe does not evolve in a vacuum, untouched by your presence. Your very attention affects outcomes. Your choices collapse possibilities into reality, and your perception interacts directly with the field of existence. That might sound abstract, but it leads to something incredibly concrete. The traditional model of personal development is linear. You do more, you get more. You work harder, you gain more. You follow a step-by-step plan, and in time you reach success. But this linear mindset is outdated. It's slow, and it's blind to the fact that reality doesn't always work in straight lines. Quantum thinking challenges that outdated model. In the quantum world, particles exist in multiple states at once until they're observed. They influence each other instantly across great distances. They can even leap from one state to another without any gradual transition. These aren't just metaphors. They're scientific facts, and they offer a revolutionary framework for human potential. In this series, we're going far beyond the usual self-help cliches. You're going to explore how focus literally changes outcomes, how unseen connections between people impact your performance, how your identity isn't fixed, but fluid, and how habits, decisions, and even your perception of time can be optimized using laws that govern the quantum universe. Across 12 distinct domains, we'll break down the key quantum principles like the observer effect, superposition, entanglement, coherence, and more, and translate them into tools you can actually use. Each concept will be grounded in practical steps, grounded science, and designed to shift the way you operate in the world. This isn't magic. It's mechanics. Quantum mechanics. And it's about to transform your understanding of what peak performance really means. Let's begin with one of the most misunderstood yet deeply influential forces in quantum physics, and how it directly affects the results you see in your everyday life. In quantum physics, there is a strange and fascinating phenomenon, the observer effect. When scientists study particles at the subatomic level, they notice something deeply counterintuitive. These particles behave one way when unobserved, and change their behavior simply because they are being measured. In experiments like the famous double-slit test, particles such as electrons act like waves when unmeasured, moving through multiple paths simultaneously. But when observed, they collapse into a single state. They act like particles. They decide on a path. Observation quite literally changes the outcome. Let that sink in. Just the act of paying attention alters physical reality. Now, bring that into your daily life. Attention is not passive. It is a force. Where you place it determines what becomes real in your experience. Your goals, your growth, your challenges, they all respond to your focus. When you fix your attention on failure, setbacks expand. When you lock in on potential, new routes open up. You're not just watching your life unfold. You're influencing it in real time. This principle challenges the outdated belief that performance is based purely on talent or effort. Focus is the hidden variable, the deciding factor, the amplifier. Let's strip this concept of any mysticism. Start with this: the brain has limited processing power. At any given time, you're taking in over 11 million bits of information, but your conscious mind can only process about 50. What you focus on becomes your experienced reality. Everything else fades into the background. So the question becomes, are you focusing with intention or allowing random stimuli to shape your state? Peak performers know this intuitively. They guard their attention like it's gold because it is. They understand that scattered focus leads to scattered outcomes. They train themselves to direct thought and awareness like a laser. This is where conscious attention becomes your performance superpower. Let's explore how to make it practical. First, develop internal awareness. Before you shift focus externally, observe your inner narrative. Are your thoughts aligned with your desired outcome, or are they looping into distractions and doubts? Bring clarity to your internal observer. Awareness of thought precedes mastery of focus. Second, reduce sensory noise. Quantum physics tells us that measurement alters behavior. The same holds true for your environment. Too many incoming stimuli, notifications, interruptions, fragmented tasks, pull your observer energy in every direction. Silence, space, and simplicity allow precision focus to emerge. Third, use focus anchors. These are mental tools that recenter attention on what matters. For example, breath awareness, task mantras, or tactile triggers like a bracelet or pen. When your mind drifts, return to the anchor. This builds cognitive resilience. Fourth, visualize your focus path before execution. Athletes and top performers mentally rehearse outcomes before taking action. This primes neural pathways and sharpens directional awareness. You begin observing your future performance before it happens, and thereby influencing it. Fifth, track your focus states. Journaling, mindfulness logs, and task reflections help identify patterns. Are there times when your observer is sharper? What activities drain your presence? Use this data to refine your environment and behavior. Remember, in quantum mechanics, nothing becomes real until it is measured. Attention is your personal measuring device. What you give energy to becomes defined. What you withdraw energy from collapses into nothingness. This is more than a productivity tip. It's the physics of reality working through you. Every moment offers a choice: passive reaction or conscious direction. With the observer effect as your guide, your attention stops being scattered light and becomes a concentrated beam of transformation. Focus isn't just about looking, it's about shaping. You are not just watching the world. You are collapsing waves into outcomes. The power to change reality starts with where you look. In classical physics, we're taught to think in absolutes. A switch is either on or off. A result is either a win or a loss. A state is either here or there. But the quantum world doesn't follow these rules. It introduces a radically different idea: superposition. In superposition, a single particle isn't limited to one state at a time. It exists in multiple states simultaneously until it's observed. It can be in several positions, hold opposing properties, or follow different potential paths all at once. It doesn't choose until a measurement forces it into a definite outcome. This isn't a science fiction concept. It's a tested, repeated phenomenon that governs the smallest building blocks of the universe. And its implications extend far beyond physics, especially when it comes to human performance. So let's make this real. You are not one static version of yourself. You are not locked into the current trajectory you're on. There isn't one singular outcome waiting for you. There are many, a spectrum of realities and outcomes, all existing in potential form. Just like the quantum particle, you contain within you multiple yous, different levels of excellence, different paths of success, different timelines, and you access them not through force, but through awareness and decision. Superposition means you are not fixed. You are fluid. Too often, people get stuck in a binary mindset: I'm either good at this or I'm not. I can either succeed or fail. I'm either ready or I'm not yet qualified. But quantum thinking shows that multiple versions of success can coexist, and that your reality will reflect the one you choose to bring into focus. Here's where it gets practical. Let's say you're facing a major opportunity: a job offer, a competition, a high-stakes pitch. Your performance in that moment doesn't come solely from preparation. It emerges from the version of yourself that you align with. In superposition, both the confident and the fearful versions of you exist as potential. The outcome depends on which version you stabilize by thought, emotion, and choice. This is why mindset isn't fluff. It's structure. It's the internal architecture that determines which version of you becomes dominant in your field of experience. The good news? You can consciously choose the version of you that leads. You can train your mind to access a different performance state, not through grinding or overanalysis, but through techniques that mirror how superposition behaves. Here are some practical ways to apply this concept to performance. 1. Mental rehearsal through multiversal framing. Instead of visualizing only one ideal outcome, begin to explore multiple possible outcomes in your mind and notice how each one feels. Do this not from a place of fear or hope, but from awareness. What changes in your body when you step into the version of you that wins with ease? What happens when you imagine a version that stumbles, but recovers powerfully? You're not predicting the future, you're sampling versions of yourself that already exist in potential. 2. Choose the state, not just the action. Most people decide what to do. Peak performers also decide who they're going to be while doing it. Are you approaching a task as the version of yourself that thrives under pressure, or as someone trying to prove worth? Your state, your internal position in the field of possibility, will define the outcome more than the checklist you follow. 3. Language that anchors identity. Superposition isn't theoretical. It's influenced by thought and language. Stop saying, "I'm not a morning person," or "I've never been good at sales," or "I always struggle under stress." Those phrases collapse you into a single identity, a fixed state. Begin using open language that reflects quantum openness. I'm learning to excel early in the day. I'm aligning with the version of me who sells with confidence. There are versions of me that thrive in pressure, and I'm tuning into them. This isn't just positive talk. It's how energy solidifies into performance. 4. Conscious state switching through environment. Different environments trigger different versions of you. Superposition is influenced by context. So is your behavior. Use this. If you want to activate the high-performing version of you, curate your space. Use specific music, lighting, scents, or objects that your mind associates with power, focus, and fluidity. Treat these elements like dials on the control board of reality. 5. Emotional signature selection. Every version of you carries a unique emotional frequency. One version operates in stress, another in flow, another in high creativity. Before any major activity, ask yourself, what emotional signature matches the outcome I want? Then use breathwork, focus, or memory cues to move into that signature. You're not just changing mood. You're selecting a version of yourself from the spectrum of your own potential. Superposition doesn't suggest infinite outcomes are equally likely. It suggests that the ones you align with emotionally and mentally have the highest chance of becoming real. And performance is not just about skill. It's about state selection. Let's be clear, this isn't about faking it or pretending. It's about learning how your internal attention stabilizes one version of yourself over others. The more you reinforce the version that aligns with mastery, the more your results will follow. You begin to break free from the tyranny of linear growth. Instead of moving step by step up a ladder, you start jumping between rungs by identifying, embodying, and aligning with alternate performance states already available to you. This rewrites the rules of improvement. It means you don't need to become a different person over years. You need to activate a different version of yourself that already exists, and hold your attention there long enough for it to express in the real world. And here's the most overlooked truth. Just as particles collapse into one state when observed, your future collapses into form based on the level of consciousness observing it. Focus is not just clarity, it is commitment to one strand of potential. The more conviction behind the observer, the more stable the outcome. So next time you face a challenge, stop asking, "What will happen?" Start asking, "Which version of me is watching this unfold?" Because that answer determines everything. In the classical world, objects are distinct, separated, and independent. Your phone is not your coffee cup. Your coworker's mood should have nothing to do with your focus. And success is supposedly earned alone, through isolated effort and willpower. But quantum physics suggests a very different model, one where connection is not just influential but fundamental. The principle is known as quantum entanglement. In this state, two particles that have interacted become linked. so deeply that their states mirror each other instantly, even when separated by vast distances. When one is affected, the other responds regardless of time or space. They are no longer individual. They are part of a shared system. Now let's step out of the lab and into your life. You are not operating in isolation. Your energy, your performance, your emotional state, these are not self-contained phenomena. You are entangled with the people, environments, and systems you interact with regularly. Your internal state does not remain untouched by external connections. It synchronizes with them. This isn't metaphorical. Research into social coherence, emotional resonance, and neurobiological entrainment all point toward the same reality. Who you connect with emotionally, mentally, energetically shapes your potential. Let's break this down clearly. High performance is not just a personal endeavor. It's a field-based phenomenon. You are constantly tuning into, absorbing from, and influencing the energetic fields of those around you. Their focus, stress, beliefs, and mindset all transmit signals. And whether you realize it or not, you respond. This means that growth is not just about self-discipline. It's about network alignment. You must examine not only how you think, but who you think with. Think about a high-pressure situation, a crucial decision, a creative project, or a make-or-break pitch. Your preparation matters. Your mindset matters. But so does your proximity to people who either accelerate or suppress your peak state. If you're connected to those who are locked in fear, doubt, or complacency, your own system begins to mirror those patterns. If you're linked to others who are centered, visionary, and elevated, you rise. This is entanglement in action. So how can you use it intentionally? 1. Audit your energetic environment. Begin by assessing the emotional and cognitive resonance of your relationships. This isn't about judging people, it's about recognizing influence. Ask yourself, who drains my clarity? Who sharpens my focus? Who leaves me feeling amplified, not diminished? You don't need to cut people out of your life, but you do need to become conscious of how energy flows between you. Entanglement works both ways, and you always have the option to recalibrate your inputs. 2. Build intentional resonance loops. Choose to regularly connect with individuals or groups who represent your highest values, your boldest thinking, your deepest drive. These connections act like resonance chambers, amplifying your intent, reflecting your potential, and holding you accountable to your peak state. Meet with them, message them, speak your vision aloud. Your entanglement with the right people stabilizes a higher frequency in your field. 3. Use co-regulation as a performance tool. Co-regulation is the process by which nervous systems sync up, creating shared states of calm or alertness. When entering a stressful performance zone, whether it's competition, presentation, or conflict, tune into someone grounded. Share breath rhythm, mirror posture, borrow their regulated frequency before re-entering the high-stakes moment. You're not absorbing their power. You're sinking to their stability. 4. Strengthen your energetic boundaries. Entanglement does not mean total exposure. You can be connected without being vulnerable to chaos. Learn to recognize emotional leakage, the moments when someone else's stress becomes your stress. Use techniques like breath regulation, microaffirmations, and even intentional spatial positioning to create subtle energetic buffers. You are sovereign. Not every signal deserves to shape your state. 5. Transmit with clarity. Remember, you are also influencing others. In every conversation, you are either creating coherence or dissonance. Train yourself to speak from centered energy. Choose language that uplifts. Maintain a physiological posture that signals safety and strength. Your frequency is contagious, and when you emit clarity, others align not through dominance but through resonance. Let's go deeper. Entanglement has another critical implication. You are always influencing more than you can see. The quantum connection does not require proximity. It requires intentionality. When you think about someone, speak their name, or even write a message you never send, there is energetic data exchanged. Your field touches theirs. This means that even private thoughts have impact. Gossip, resentment, judgment, these are not just bad habits. They are low-frequency transmissions that entangle you with versions of yourself and others that are unhelpful. On the other hand, gratitude, praise, and silent support are not just virtues. They are performance-enhancing frequencies. They clean the channel between you and the world. So how does this elevate peak performance? It resets your model of achievement. Success becomes less about dominance and more about alignment. You stop trying to outcompete everyone and begin to outconnect with your own deeper potential and with others vibrating at your target frequency. You stop focusing solely on effort and begin focusing on signal purity. You realize that excellence is a broadcast, and the clearer the signal, the greater the impact. This is not abstract philosophy. This is energy hygiene. Just as elite athletes monitor nutrition, sleep, and training, those seeking peak performance must monitor their energetic diet. Who are you entangled with? What signals are shaping your inner state? Which emotional fields are you sustaining? Let's simplify. Your thoughts don't exist in a vacuum. Your feelings are not solely yours. Your outcomes are not just yours to control, they are yours to tune. This is the new model. A performance framework built not on isolation, but on invisible intelligence. A recognition that we rise through connection, not noise. Entanglement teaches us that power is shared. That alignment isn't just beneficial, it's essential. And that true mastery isn't just about executing your plan, it's about curating your field. So as you move through your goals, your plans, and your dreams, ask not just am I doing enough, but also, am I connected to the right people in the right way at the right frequency? Because when your relationships are optimized, when your field is tuned, and when your energy is clean, you're not just performing. You're transmitting greatness across the invisible lines that connect us all. Up next, we challenge the very concept of time itself and explore how bending your perception of time can radically enhance your ability to perform under pressure, stay in flow, and expand your results beyond what's considered possible. In everyday life, time is treated as rigid, ticks forward at a fixed pace. It structures your days, limits your actions, and defines how fast or slow you progress. But quantum mechanics introduces a truth that disrupts this entire understanding. Time is not absolute. It is flexible, relative, malleable, and once you grasp this concept, performance no longer has to follow a linear path. In quantum physics, particles can interact in ways that defy classical time logic. Information appears to travel faster than light. Events seem to occur outside of conventional sequences. Some interpretations even suggest that outcomes can influence prior states. This breaks the familiar arrow of time, and it opens up a new model for how you can approach high performance. Let's break this down in clear terms. The standard model of success follows a progression. Plan, act, wait, achieve. It's a grind, one step at a time. But if time is not fixed, then growth doesn't have to be slow. Momentum doesn't have to take months, and results don't have to be delayed. Performance becomes less about pushing through time and more about shifting your experience of time itself. Your perception of time determines your capacity to perform. In flow states, hours pass in minutes. In boredom, minutes stretch into hours. Under stress, a moment feels overwhelming. In clarity, you move fast without hurry. These aren't just emotional shifts. They are changes in how you process time. Here's the breakthrough. You don't need more time. You need more presence. Presence bends time. When your focus narrows and your awareness deepens, time stretches to accommodate more output, insight, and intuition. This is not about working faster. It's about working deeper within each moment. To start applying this principle, you must first stop treating time as your enemy. Statements like, "There's never enough time," or "I'm running out of time," generate resistance in the nervous system. They create urgency, not clarity. Replace them with power-neutral language. I manage my experience of time. I create results within the moment I'm in. This simple shift begins to reset your internal timeline. Let's explore practical tools for mastering time as a quantum asset, not a linear constraint. 1. Identify your temporal identity. Everyone has a default relationship with time, some rush, some delay, some freeze. Notice how you describe your time-based habits. Are you a procrastinator, a sprinter, a perfectionist? These are not just behaviors. They are identities rooted in your perception of time. To change the behavior, update the identity. Begin with phrases like, I operate in aligned time, or I deliver in present-centered awareness. This reshapes how your mind sequences tasks. 2. Use temporal anchors to stretch moments. Peak performers often talk about slowing things down under pressure. This isn't metaphorical. It's neurological. By anchoring into breath, rhythm, or focused movement, you reduce internal chaos, and the mind shifts into a more spacious timeline. You become capable of doing more, sensing more, and responding more efficiently in less chronological time. Use breathing protocols, countdown patterns, or rhythmic cues to activate this stretching effect. 3. Eliminate time leaks. Scrolling, multitasking, looping thoughts. These are not just distractions. They are temporal leaks. They consume bandwidth without producing momentum. Conduct a 48-hour audit of your daily rhythm. Identify where your attention escapes your intent. Reclaim these micro-moments. When you seal your time leaks, the perception of pressure decreases, and your time expands. 4. Collapse timelines with intentional focus. In quantum theory, particles can shift states without passing through every intermediate stage. They leap. Similarly, you can compress development time by collapsing timelines through extreme clarity and decision. Instead of thinking, I'll get there eventually, try, I am now the person who creates this result. Then behave accordingly. This activates what's often called identity-level action. When the identity aligns, the timeline shortens. 5. Use reverse time framing. Rather than moving forward from your current state, mentally move backward from the completed state. This is not visualization, it's temporal reorientation. Picture the outcome as already real. Ask, what did I prioritize to get here? How did I think during the process? What did I stop doing? You're no longer chasing a goal, you're recalling it from a higher version of yourself. This shifts your internal calendar. Let's now zoom out. The broader implication is this: time responds to consciousness. When you're reactive, rushed, or scattered, time fragments. When you're intentional, clear, and emotionally centered, time organizes around you. This is why some people seem to accomplish more with less effort. They don't move faster. They move with time, not against it. Quantum thinking doesn't suggest you abandon calendars or deadlines. It invites you to see them as coordinates, not cages. You are not subject to the ticking clock. You are in constant relationship with it. And here's where performance transforms. When you train yourself to hold a longer inner timeline, patience with intensity, you stop rushing decisions. You stop compressing creativity. You become a generator of aligned outcomes rather than a victim of external urgency. Let's reinforce this with a model. When time owns you, you chase results. When you own your timeline, you summon results. This means learning to function across multiple time layers. Chronological time for structure. Psychological time for self-management. Energetic time for intuitive action. Master all three, and you gain command over your performance rhythm. Now let's clear up a major myth. It takes time to succeed. Not exactly. It takes clarity, frequency, and alignment over time, but the results don't follow a fixed duration. Many breakthroughs arrive in seconds after years of resistance. When alignment occurs, time compresses. Progress becomes exponential, not incremental. This brings us to one final performance enhancer: timeless states. These are moments of deep flow, stillness, or awe when you lose track of time entirely. They are neurological states linked with high coherence and creativity. And they are available not by forcing but by tuning. You create timelessness by immersing fully in the present task. No toggling, no checking, no projecting, just presence. In these states, performance becomes fluid. Insight sharpens. And output multiplies because you're no longer working through time but beyond it. You aren't racing the clock. You are synchronizing with a deeper rhythm. That's what quantum time mastery is really about. Not controlling minutes, but controlling momentum. not adding hours but expanding power within them. So now the question becomes, how are you experiencing time today? As a weight pulling you down, or as a medium through which you sculpt your best work? Because once you learn how to bend time, you stop counting the minutes and start making the minutes count. Progress is usually framed as a gradual climb, step by step, little by little. It's the slow and steady path that wins. But nature doesn't always work this way, and neither does the quantum world. In quantum mechanics, a particle doesn't need to travel a smooth route from one state to another. It can make a sudden jump, a quantum leap. It can shift from one energy level to a higher one without moving through the space in between. There is no visible transition. It simply appears in a new state. This isn't symbolic. It's physical law. And when understood correctly, it becomes a powerful model for human transformation. You don't need to crawl toward breakthroughs. You don't need to earn every inch of improvement through brute force. You can prepare, align, and suddenly shift into a new level of performance. That shift is not just a change in output, it's a change in identity. A quantum leap occurs when the conditions that have been quietly building reach a point of energetic readiness. And then transformation happens without warning, without transition, and without gradual buildup. Most people never experience this because they're trained to think in straight lines. They believe that success must follow effort in a measurable, visible way. They miss the signals that a leap is ready to occur. They keep climbing the staircase instead of realizing there's an elevator hidden in the walls. Let's examine the inner mechanics of quantum leaps, not as a theory, but as a repeatable process. 1. Stability before shift. In quantum systems, a particle must be in a stable lower state before it can leap to a higher one. The same is true for you. Leaps don't come from chaos. They come from structured readiness. This means doing the work to ground yourself, mentally, emotionally, energetically. Discipline doesn't block transformation. It creates the platform from which it launches. You don't leap because you're desperate. You leap because your foundation can support the next level. 2. Energy accumulation. Leaps happen when energy builds. In performance, this means intensity of focus, commitment, emotional charge, and clarity. The longer and more powerfully you direct attention to a target state, the more likely that a sudden shift becomes possible. The problem is that many people quit or scatter their energy before the threshold is reached. The leap is waiting, but the energy dissipates. You must hold the frequency long enough for the system to pop into a new configuration. 3. Letting go of gradualism. If you're obsessed with measurable, small progress, you may overlook the moment when a leap is available. Leaps often feel illogical at first. They contradict the rules of slow improvement. Trusting the leap requires a mindset that accepts exponential change as valid. It means replacing the mantra, "It's going to take time," with "It's already aligning." 4. Watch for microsignals of readiness. Before the leap, systems begin to destabilize. In quantum physics, small fluctuations indicate an approaching shift. In your life, this may look like frustration, restlessness, emotional pressure, or sudden clarity. Don't misinterpret these as signs of failure. They are often indicators that your system is preparing to reorganize. Listen carefully, and do not withdraw. 5. Take the leap with full commitment. A quantum leap is not a cautious move. It is an identity-level decision that locks in a higher state. Half steps will collapse it. You cannot test a leap, you must embody it. This is the moment when you stop negotiating with fear, stop rehearsing old limits, and step fully into the version of yourself that already exists beyond the jump. Let's ground this further. A quantum leap is not a fluke. It's not magic. It is a structural shift triggered by a field-level realignment. When your thoughts, beliefs, actions, and emotions synchronize around a higher pattern, the old system collapses, and the new one appears. The leap is not the reward for effort. It is the byproduct of energetic congruence. Now, here's what often blocks this process: cognitive drag. You keep asking questions that pull energy downward. What if I'm not ready? What if it's not the right time? What if this doesn't work? Every one of those thoughts splinters the field, creates interference in the signal. Quantum leaps require coherence. You don't need perfect conditions, but you do need clean intent. So how do you train for leaps? Micro decisions with macro impact. Begin making small but bold decisions that reflect a higher version of yourself. Stop asking, what's realistic? Start asking, what decision aligns with my elevated self? Then act on it. These decisions may seem minor, what you wear, how you speak, what you schedule, but collectively they shift your field. And suddenly, the leap is no longer dramatic. It's inevitable. Hold the higher frequency. Each level of performance carries a frequency, an emotional, mental, and behavioral pattern. Identify the frequency of the level you want. Is it calm intensity, confident boldness, playful mastery? Then build daily rituals to hold that frequency. Use music, movement, language, and visual anchors to stabilize it. Leaps occur when you hold a higher frequency long enough for reality to catch up. Expand your capacity for the unknown. Quantum leaps are unpredictable. They don't follow charts. You must develop comfort with nonlinear success. Embrace uncertainty not as a gap in the plan, but as a space for the miraculous. Trust becomes more important than proof. Reinforce the new identity instantly. After the leap, the mind may try to snap back. This is identity recoil. Counter it immediately by reinforcing the new level with action. Speak from it. Move from it. Make decisions as it. Leaps only become permanent when the body and mind accept the new level as normal. Quantum mechanics shows us that systems don't always change gradually. Sometimes they transform abruptly when conditions align. Your performance potential follows the same laws. The leap isn't fantasy. It's physics. You may not control the timing, but you control the readiness. And here's the most important truth. You never leap to something. You leap from a state of certainty that the next level already exists. You don't become ready by collecting credentials or waiting for permission. You become ready by tuning your entire system to the outcome you know is possible, and then stepping into it without negotiation. So now look at your current trajectory. Are you crawling, climbing, or leaping? And more importantly, are you ready to shift the entire system, not someday but now? Because the next version of you isn't ahead in time. It's already here, vibrating at a different level, waiting for you to align. Next, we explore how your very identity can flex between states, and how understanding the duality of wave and particle can help you step into the optimal version of yourself with precision and intent. In quantum physics, one of the most fascinating and foundational discoveries is this. Particles can behave as either waves or discrete points, depending on how they are measured. This is known as wave-particle duality. The same object can act like a flowing, expansive wave, spread out across space, or like a sharp, localized particle, fixed to a point in space and time. Which form it takes depends not on the particle itself, but on the context of observation. Let that sink in. The identity of the particle is not fixed. It's responsive, context-sensitive, fluid. Now take that principle and apply it to human performance. Your identity, the way you see yourself, the role you play, the mindset you adopt, is not static. It's not encoded into your DNA. It is a performance variable, not a permanent trait. You can behave like a wave, adaptable, expansive, creative, or like a particle, precise, focused, and results-driven. The key is understanding when to activate each mode. Most people lock themselves into one identity. They say, I'm a creative type, or I'm detail-oriented, or I'm a visionary, not a finisher. These declarations are often worn like badges of self-awareness. But in truth, they are limitations disguised as insight. They trap potential inside a single modality. Quantum thinking says something radically different. You are both. You can shift modes. Your nature is dual, and your performance improves when you consciously choose which version of you to activate. Let's break it down. The particle state. This is your focused self. Direct, time-bound, goal-driven. It's the mode you enter when details matter, when precision is critical, and when clarity must override complexity. Think of it as your execution identity. In this state, your energy narrows like a laser. Distractions fall away. Measurement becomes possible. You operate in defined tasks with deliberate outcomes. Examples: finalizing a proposal, delivering a high-stakes presentation, analyzing metrics or finances, making rapid decisions under pressure. This mode is powerful but limited. Too much time here leads to burnout, rigidity, and creative suppression. You need it for control, but you can't live in it. The wave state, this is your expansive self. Open, multidirectional, intuitive. It's the mode you enter when you're creating, exploring, or sensing possibilities beyond the current moment. Think of it as your visionary identity. In this state, your awareness diffuses. Ideas flow freely. You move beyond time pressure and begin to connect dots that aren't visible in linear thinking. Examples: brainstorming new product ideas, mapping a long-term vision, writing, designing, or composing, feeling into what your next move should be. The wave state generates insight and originality. But without structure, it leads to fragmentation, indecision, and drift. Now here's where quantum identity becomes actionable. The highest performers are shapeshifters. They don't just rely on one mode. They switch, consciously, intentionally. They ask, do I need to be a wave right now, or a particle? That question alone can save you months of wasted effort. Let's go practical. 1. Schedule your identity states. Instead of planning your day by tasks, try planning by energy modes. Allocate time blocks where you will be in wave state, unstructured, exploratory, creative, and time blocks for particle state, defined, tactical, outcome-driven. This prevents confusion and burnout and maximizes the strength of each identity. 2. Use physical cues to shift modes. The body can serve as a powerful switchboard. Create rituals or physical anchors that help transition between states. For example, a specific seat or room for particle tasks, a walking routine or music playlist for wave state, a breath pattern to sharpen or soften attention. When the body shifts, the mind follows. 3. Interrupt identity drift. Most people shift modes unconsciously, usually based on stress or default conditioning. The result is identity drift. You start a day with big creative plans and end up micromanaging emails. Or you intend to execute but get lost in idea loops. Set hourly reminders to ask, am I in the right mode for what this moment requires? That one question can reorient your entire trajectory. 4. Map performance states to performance goals. Don't just set goals like launch the product or increase revenue. Map the state that matches each phase. Early planning may require wave identity. Execution needs particle identity. Scaling may require a hybrid. Aligning the right energy to the right stage increases precision and prevents burnout. 5. Accept identity fluidity as strength. Too many people feel like they're faking it when they shift states. This is based on the false idea that consistency means sameness. But in a quantum model, consistency means alignment, not rigidity. You are not pretending when you shift into a different identity. You are expressing a different version of truth based on the context. This reframes the entire performance narrative. You're not an imposter for acting confident before you're ready. You're not unstable for feeling visionary one day and operational the next. You're dynamic. You're quantum. That's not weakness. That's precision. Now let's take this even deeper. In wave state, you access intuition. You receive insight from the edges of your awareness. You are not calculating, you are sensing. This is where your most innovative ideas arise. It's the quantum field of creativity. In particle state, you lock form to function. You define outcomes. You collapse ideas into action. This is where dreams become deliverables. The shift between them is not always comfortable, but it's necessary. So how do you know when it's time to switch? Watch for resistance. When focus becomes strained or structure feels oppressive, you may be stuck in particle mode too long. Switch to wave. Breathe. Walk. Expand. When flow becomes distraction or ideas multiply without output, you've stayed in wave state too long. Anchor. Prioritize. Execute. This back and forth becomes your rhythm. It's the dance of form and freedom. It's how the highest performers create at scale, without losing soul and without losing results. And here's the final takeaway. You are not just one self. You are a dynamic system of identities. Each one valid. Each one useful. Each one needed at different times. By mastering your ability to shift states, consciously, skillfully, strategically, you become a living example of quantum duality in action. You become adaptable, resilient, and high-performing without sacrificing authenticity or flow. So ask yourself, are you being a wave when you need to be a particle? Or stuck in particle form when your highest power lies in fluidity? Because your results won't just come from what you do. They'll come from who you choose to be in each moment. Up next, how the act of making decisions, conscious, committed, unshakable, can collapse infinite possibilities into focused, real-world outcomes using the quantum principle of the wave function. In quantum physics, the wave function represents all the possible states a system can be in before it's observed. Until something is measured, it exists in a field of probabilities. Particle could be here or there, could be spinning this way or that way. Nothing is fixed. Everything remains potential. But the moment it is observed, the wave function collapses. The system chooses a state. One outcome becomes real. The rest disappear into nothing. This is not just science. It's a profound metaphor for how decisions shape your life. Until you decide, you are scattered potential. Possibilities surround you. Multiple versions of your future coexist, waiting. But the moment you commit, not just intellectually, but with total internal alignment, you collapse that cloud of options into one actual reality. Decision is the act of manifestation. It doesn't follow the outcome, creates the outcome. Most people don't struggle from lack of potential. They struggle from lack of collapse. They live in an ongoing state of mental superposition. Half in, half out, exploring ideas but never choosing. And so they drift. They float through infinite maybes and never anchor into one powerful yes. Now apply this to performance. Every day you face choices about how you will show up, what you will focus on, and what level of energy you'll bring to your actions. When you hesitate, when you leave decisions open-ended, you dilute your power. You broadcast noise. But when you choose with clarity and commitment, you send a signal. That signal ripples through your actions, your relationships, and even the opportunities that find their way to you. Choice is a frequency. The more complete the decision, the stronger the wave collapse. Let's now look at how to use this principle deliberately, not just as a mindset, but as a daily tool for performance precision. 1. Stop gathering evidence, start generating certainty. Most people delay decisions while waiting for more data. They want proof. But in quantum mechanics, collapse comes first. Evidence appears after observation, not before. In life, that means certainty often arrives after the decision, not before it. If you only choose when it's safe, you will live a delayed life. The most powerful shifts happen when you commit in advance of proof. That's how you stabilize the path forward. 2. Anchor your decisions with physical action. A decision isn't complete until the body acts. Thought alone won't collapse the wave. To lock in a new outcome, take an aligned action immediately after the decision is made. Book the call. Submit the application. Reorganize your space. Do something that tells the nervous system, this is now real. Until that moment, you're still floating in potential. 3. Use binary clarity to break ambiguity loops. Ambiguity drains momentum. When you feel stuck between options, use the binary method. Reduce your choice to 2 clear paths. Name them out loud. Then ask, which one expands me right now? Choose that. Don't wait for a perfect plan. Waiting delays collapse. You're not just picking a path, you're deciding which version of yourself gets to lead. 4. Identify where you're living in open loops. Go through your life and write down every decision that's been sitting in limbo. Ideas you haven't acted on, conversations you haven't had, goals you've been thinking about but not owning. These are open wave functions, and they're costing you energy. Close the loops. Either act, schedule, or eliminate. Completion sharpens the signal. 5. Practice pre-deciding your state. Before you enter a performance moment, presentation, negotiation, competition, predecide your internal state. Don't leave it to chance. Say, I am calm. I am sharp. I am here to win. By predeciding, you eliminate doubt. You arrive as the version of yourself that belongs. That's collapse. Not waiting to see how you feel. Choosing how to feel and acting from it. Let's pause here and reinforce a deeper layer. The brain is a quantum observer. It doesn't just record the world, it filters and shapes it. When you make a committed decision, your brain begins to restructure perception. It ignores irrelevant data. It notices signals aligned with your outcome. It reorients behavior without needing constant supervision. This is why decision is more powerful than motivation. Motivation fluctuates. Decision reprograms perception. But here's the challenge. Most people don't really decide. They think, they intend, they hope, but they keep back doors open. They say yes while preparing for no. They choose, then immediately second-guess. This fractures energy, prevents full collapse. Real decisions close doors. They create clarity through constraint. They require you to burn the bridge to uncertainty and stand fully in the outcome, even when discomfort shows up. Let's make this real. Say you want to become someone who operates with elite focus. That outcome exists in potential. But unless you decide and mean it, you won't see the shift. And the decision isn't, I'll try to focus more. The decision is, I now operate from the identity of focus presence. Then, everything you do that contradicts that identity becomes non-negotiable. It's not about intensity. It's about alignment. When your thoughts, feelings, and actions all point to one chosen version of yourself, the wave collapses. You are no longer navigating possibility. You are embodying reality. Now let's talk about reversals. Sometimes you collapse into a version of yourself you didn't intend. You made a decision from fear, from scarcity, from social pressure. That version becomes your operating system until you recollapse into something higher. This is where choice becomes ongoing. You can always recenter. You can always re-choose. The key is to notice when your current state was selected from survival rather than sovereignty. And then choose again. Decision is not a one-time event. It is a repeated act of energetic authorship. This leads us to the final technique. 6. Build a daily collapse practice. Each morning, select one area of your life where possibilities feel open, scattered, or delayed. Then write one decision that collapses the field. It might be, I will complete this project today, or I will no longer delay the launch, or I will speak to this person by noon. Keep it simple, specific, and identity-aligned. Then act. This daily habit rewires the nervous system to expect clarity instead of confusion. It trains your brain to associate certainty with action. And over time, it transforms your reality, not gradually but powerfully. Let's zoom out. In the quantum world, potential is infinite, but reality is selective. It emerges through collapse. You are surrounded by multiple timelines. They are not waiting for the perfect opportunity. They are waiting for your decision. When you stop circling choices and start standing inside them, the world responds. Energy reorganizes. People notice. Events shift. You become the observer who doesn't just watch, you define. So ask yourself right now, where am I avoiding collapse? Where am I circling instead of choosing? And what would happen if I made one full, clear, unwavering decision today? Because the life you want is not hidden. It's just uncollapsed. And the only way to see it, choose it. In the quantum world, coherence is the key to stability, power, and impact. When a system is coherent, its parts move in sync. Its frequencies match. Its output becomes clear, amplified, and consistent. Incoherent systems, on the other hand, are chaotic, scattered, weak. This same principle applies to you. Human performance isn't just mental. It isn't just physical. It isn't just emotional. It's the product of alignment across multiple systems at once. When your thoughts, emotions, physiology, and energy are misaligned, you experience resistance, fatigue, and erratic results. But when those same components become coherent, your entire system operates at a higher frequency, and outcomes accelerate. Quantum coherence occurs when waves synchronize. Instead of canceling each other out, they amplify each other. In the same way, when your internal systems stop competing and start harmonizing, your performance transforms from scattered effort to concentrated force. So let's strip this down and make it practical. You are either broadcasting coherence or confusion. You don't need to fix every flaw. You don't need to upgrade every tactic. You need to sync your systems. Let's start by understanding the primary components of personal coherence. Cognitive coherence. Your thoughts are clear, intentional, and structured. Emotional coherence. Your feelings support your intent, not sabotage it. Physiological coherence. Your body is calm, grounded, and responsive, not stressed or fragmented. Energetic coherence. Your presence communicates alignment. Others feel it, and you do too. When these layers are aligned, you enter what researchers often refer to as flow, zone states, or peak alignment. But what's actually happening beneath the surface is measurable coherence. Now, let's apply specific tools to help you reach this state more consistently and deliberately. 1. Heart-brain synchronization through breathwork. Your heart emits the strongest electromagnetic field in your body. It informs the brain. When your breathing becomes rhythmic, the heart and brain begin to synchronize, creating a pattern of coherence that can be measured in real time. Practice this. Inhale for 5 seconds. Exhale for 5 seconds. Do this for 2 to 5 minutes while focusing on a calming thought or desired state. This simple protocol calms the nervous system, clears cognitive fog, and stabilizes emotional volatility. You've now created physiological alignment on demand. 2. Set coherent intentions, not vague goals. Most goals fail because they're built on mental wants but emotional contradictions. You say you want to perform better, but feel uncertain. You say you're ready, but your body is tense. Before acting, scan your full system. Does my mind believe this is possible? Does my body feel safe doing it? Do my emotions support this outcome? If one system says no, the field is incoherent. Adjust before proceeding. A forced action from a split system rarely produces consistent results. 3. Use micromovements to signal alignment. Coherence doesn't start in thought. It often begins in the body. Use subtle movements to recenter. Roll the shoulders backward to open the chest. Place both feet flat on the ground to root energy. Straighten your spine to signal readiness. These movements may seem minor, but they send deep signals to your nervous system that say, I'm safe, I'm prepared, I'm aligned, and the rest of the system follows. 4. Tune your emotional frequency with precision. Emotions are not random, they are frequencies. Each one carries a specific vibration that either amplifies or disrupts coherence. Identify your current emotional baseline, then ask, does this support or sabotage my performance? If not, use targeted practices to shift. Gratitude for grounding, confidence for clarity, curiosity for creativity. You're not suppressing feelings, you're tuning frequency with intent. 5. Eliminate fragmentation through task integrity. Every time you jump between disconnected tasks, you fracture your system. It's like shifting radio stations mid-sentence. Instead, create coherence through focused sprints. 25 to 45 minutes of single-task attention, followed by a 5 to 10-minute reset. During those sprints, bring your full system into the task. No drifting, no toggling, just depth. Over time, your system learns to stay in coherence longer with less effort. Let's go deeper. Coherence isn't just for output, it also changes how you're perceived. When someone is coherent, they project clarity. People trust them. They exude stability and magnetism. That's not charisma, it's physics. Incoherence repels. Coherence attracts. This applies in leadership, sales, relationships, and influence. When your internal systems are aligned, people feel safer in your presence, even if they can't explain why. You're not just communicating with words, you're broadcasting a signal, and that signal either invites alignment or triggers confusion. This is why coherence must become a daily practice, not a lucky state you stumble into. It's not just a benefit, It's the foundation of sustainable peak performance. So here's your coherence checklist. Am I breathing with rhythm? Are my thoughts aligned with my values? Are my emotions reinforcing my goals? Is my body signaling safety and readiness? Is my presence transmitting clarity? If the answer to all 5 is yes, you're coherent, and your performance will reflect it. But what happens when you're not? When your mind says yes, but your gut says no, pause. When your heart races, but your face pretends to be calm, reset. When your energy is off, but you try to force productivity, stop. You don't fix incoherence with effort. You fix it with realignment. This means stepping out of reactivity. It means recalibrating before pushing. And it means understanding that power does not come from force. It comes from resonance. Let's shift perspective. Incoherence isn't failure. It's feedback. Tells you something is out of sync. Listen, adjust, return. Coherence is always available. It doesn't require perfection. It requires presence. And presence is a skill. So here's your challenge. Build coherence windows into your day. 3 times, morning, midday, and evening. Check your alignment across all 4 systems. If anything feels off, don't push through. Resync. Just 5 minutes of alignment can prevent 5 hours of inefficiency. And here's the deeper truth. You are designed for coherence. Distraction, fragmentation, and burnout are not your natural state. They are the result of outdated systems running too loud for too long. Coherence is not luxury. It's not optional. It's how the highest versions of you operate by default. When coherence becomes your baseline, performance stops being a battle. It becomes a transmission. You're no longer managing stress, you're mastering flow. You're no longer reacting to noise, you're emitting signal. And your life begins to reflect the one thing every quantum system rewards: alignment. Next, we shift our attention to the empty space between things, the so-called nothingness that actually holds infinite energy, and how understanding the quantum vacuum unlocks creativity, intuition, and power beyond logic. In most people's understanding, empty space is exactly that, empty. It's the void between things, the gap between atoms, the nothingness that fills the universe when there's no matter present. But in quantum physics, this assumption collapses. The emptiness of space is not truly empty. It's buzzing with activity, virtual particles appearing and disappearing, energy fluctuations rippling beneath detection, and fields interacting in ways we can't see, but can mathematically verify. This underlying fabric is called the quantum vacuum or the zero-point field, and it's anything but nothing. The quantum vacuum is the baseline state of the universe. It's the field from which all matter emerges and into which all matter dissolves. It's a reservoir of unexpressed potential, silent, invisible, and overflowing with energy. Scientists have found that even in the absence of any particles, there's still measurable energy present. Now consider the implications for human performance. You are not just functioning within a material world. You are immersed in this field, this ocean of raw, undirected possibility. And when your awareness quiets, when your distractions fall away, when your internal systems settle into coherence, you don't just perform better. You begin to interface directly with this field of potential. Call it intuition, call it creativity, call it insight. Regardless of the name, the experience is the same. Something profound emerges from stillness. A solution appears without being chased. An idea surfaces without being summoned. An answer forms without a question being spoken. You didn't manufacture it. You accessed it. Here's the breakthrough. Stillness is not the absence of activity. It's the gateway to deeper activity. Let's break this down. Most of the time, the conscious mind is too noisy to receive what the quantum vacuum has to offer. It's busy analyzing, predicting, and interpreting. In this mode, your attention is fragmented. Your connection to the deeper field is blocked. But when you enter stillness, deep, intentional, structured stillness, your cognitive surface quiets. Your deeper systems begin to sense, perceive, receive. The vacuum starts to fill you with intelligence that doesn't come from memory or strategy. It comes from the field. This is not esoteric. It's neurological and energetic. and it's repeatable. Let's now explore how to make this access point practical. 1. Practice active stillness. Stillness does not mean doing nothing. It means creating a stable platform for deeper signals to rise. Set aside 5 to 10 minutes daily to enter full stillness. No stimulation, no multitasking, no input. Sit or lie down. Breathe slowly. Do not focus on results. Just allow space. Over time, this becomes a performance ritual, not a break, but a gateway to insight. 2. Use the vacuum for high-impact decision-making. When faced with a major choice, don't always default to pros and cons. After analysis, move into stillness. Enter the vacuum, not to think, but to feel the energetic pull of each option. What carries weight? What feels open? What feels distorted? You're not listening to emotion. You're tuning into signal. The quantum field often whispers before it speaks. Stillness lets you hear. 3. Reframe silence as strategic. In noise-obsessed culture, silence is mistaken for inaction. But in performance, silence becomes signal refinement. Block out 1 hour per week for vacuum space. No agenda, no calls, just presence. Let your nervous system reconnect with the deeper field. Insight often shows up just past the edge of scheduled activity. 4. Recognize thought overload as signal blockage. Too many inputs block vacuum access. When you're overwhelmed, remember, insight is not missing. It's muffled. Reduce the noise. Cut down input. Stop checking. Close loops. You're not starved for ideas, you're saturated with interference. Stillness clears the static. 5. Understand inspiration as field-based intelligence. Ideas do not originate in your brain. They pass through it. You are not the creator, you are the conduit. The more you operate in alignment, the more often the vacuum releases signal. This is why your best ideas often arrive in the shower, on walks, or in moments of quiet. It's not coincidence. It's coherence. Let's shift perspective. There's a part of you that always knows. Part beyond logic, beyond time, beyond memory. When you stop trying to push, force, and solve, this part comes online. It is not driven. It is aware. It lives at the edge of the quantum vacuum, tuned into patterns you can't calculate, sensing dynamics you can't explain, guiding you toward outcomes you couldn't have planned. That's not magic. It's resonance with a field that contains all possibilities. And now the most important shift. Stop treating stillness as recovery. Start treating it as input. The vacuum is not passive. It is intelligent. It will deliver you exactly what your next move needs, if you listen. You don't always need another book. You don't always need another strategy. You don't always need another opinion. You need to clear enough space for the answer to arrive. Let's now explore how this principle applies to creativity and innovation. When you're under pressure to perform, whether in business, art, or leadership, the brain defaults to safety. Pulls from the known. Copies. It rushes. That's survival logic. But the quantum vacuum is not bound by what's already known. It is pure potential. Untapped structure. Imaginative raw material waiting for the right receiver. To become that receiver, slow down. Sink in. Drop below the surface. Instead of asking, "What should I do?" begin asking, "What wants to emerge?" That shift in language reorients your energy from force to listening, from doing to channeling. This is where elite creators, performers, and visionaries source their ideas. Not from volume, from depth. So how do you train for this? 6. Build a vacuum access routine. 3 times per week, block 20 to 30 minutes for complete sensory reduction. No music, no input, no scrolling, just space. Begin with breath, then silence, then still presence. Don't chase insight, simply listen. Document what arises afterward. Over time, you'll see that your deepest intelligence doesn't come from thinking harder. It comes from listening deeper. Now zoom out. The vacuum contains not just ideas, but energy, restoration, guidance. Performance no longer becomes about pushing limits. It becomes about reconnecting with source, the source of insight, the source of coherence, the source of direction. When others burn out chasing more, you go deeper into stillness and come back stronger. And here's the paradox. The more often you touch stillness, the more powerful your movement becomes. You move with clarity, not clutter. With intent, not urgency. You stop reacting. You start transmitting. Because now you understand. The vacuum is not empty space. It's the birthplace of everything you're trying to build. Next, we explore how the subconscious mind can be understood as programmable code, and how quantum principles offer tools to rewrite that code at a deeper level than traditional techniques allow. If you've ever felt stuck repeating the same patterns, despite your best efforts, you're not alone. You set goals, build routines, push through resistance. Yet somehow certain behaviors loop back again. Performance plateaus. Motivation fades. Growth stalls. That's not a lack of willpower. That's a subconscious block. The subconscious mind governs over 90% of your daily behavior. It stores patterns, beliefs, emotional associations, and identity blueprints. It operates below conscious thought, but above most of your results. Think of it as code. You're running a behavioral operating system beneath the surface. Most of it was written long before you were aware of it. Some of it serves you. Some of it holds you back. Either way, it governs your responses, decisions, and energy more than most realize. Now let's introduce the quantum perspective. In quantum physics, systems don't just exist in fixed states. They're dynamic. They're influenced by observation, by energy, by intent. At a deep level, quantum fields respond to information. And your subconscious mind is a field, one built from repetitive informational inputs. Which means, just as a quantum system can be influenced by shifts in energy and information, so can your subconscious. It's not permanent. It's programmable. Let's make that actionable. First, understand that traditional change often fails because it targets the conscious mind. You tell yourself to be confident, calm, or focused. But if the subconscious code says, "I'm not enough," or "I always freeze under pressure," then surface-level effort loses its power. To truly shift performance, you must rewrite the deeper script. Here's how. 1. Identify subconscious loops without judgment. Every time you hit a limit, whether it's procrastination, imposter syndrome, fear of visibility, or inconsistency, you're witnessing subconscious code playing out. Don't moralize it. Don't shame it. Just observe it. Write the behavior. Ask, what belief would have to be true for this to make sense? You're not fixing the surface. You're reading the code. 2. Access subconscious states for reprogramming. The subconscious is most accessible in relaxed, focused states, especially just after waking or just before sleep. These are natural theta brainwave windows. Use them. In these states, the critical filter between conscious and subconscious softens. Your system becomes impressionable. That's your window to input new code. 3. Use multisensory inputs to increase imprint power. Quantum systems respond to frequency. So does your brain. Don't just speak affirmations. Feel them, hear them, see them. For example, visualize yourself executing the belief. Speak it out loud with emotion. Play audio tracks with embedded affirmations. Use binaural beats to deepen absorption. The more sensory systems you engage, the more convincingly the subconscious accepts the new input. 4. Build a personal programming script. Generic affirmations often fail because they lack emotional resonance. Create statements that are true enough to believe but bold enough to stretch. For example, instead of, "I am fearless," say, "I'm learning to access courage in challenging moments." Instead of, "I am unstoppable," say, "Each day, I act with more clarity and less hesitation." Your subconscious doesn't respond to hype. It responds to truth that feels real enough to act on. 5. Stack quantum inputs with consistency. A single programming session won't rewrite deeply embedded code. You need repetition with emotion. Create a 5-minute morning and evening ritual. Breathe to relax the body. Enter a focused state. Recite or listen to your script. Visualize key moments from the perspective of your upgraded self. End with a physical cue, a hand gesture, breath pattern, or anchor phrase. Over time, this rewires default responses. You're not just thinking differently, you're becoming someone else at the code level. Let's go deeper. Programming isn't just about affirmations. It's about feedback loops. The subconscious learns by seeing results. So after each aligned action, celebrate the shift. Say, "This is who I am now." The emotion of reinforcement teaches the system, this behavior matches our new code. Similarly, when old patterns surface, don't fight them. Interrupt. Speak the new pattern out loud. Breathe. Reset posture. Reassert identity. You're not just correcting a mistake. You're refusing to reinstall outdated software. This is a process of quantum reinforcement. Each time you act from the new code, the wave collapses. The possibility becomes identity. And soon, the subconscious stops arguing. Now here's a powerful insight. Your external environment can either anchor your programming or undo it. The people, sounds, habits, and places around you carry frequencies. If they constantly trigger the old version of you, your progress gets diluted. So audit your surroundings. Ask, does this space reflect the version of me I'm becoming? Do these conversations reinforce my new programming? Do these routines match the frequency of my next-level self? You don't need perfection. You need alignment. One mismatched habit can reopen the old script. But one powerful environment can stabilize the new one. And now the deeper shift. Start treating your identity as code in motion. Not fixed. Not final. Programmable, responsive, and alive. This means asking powerful questions each day. What subconscious code am I running right now? Is it aligned with my desired reality? What micro-adjustment would close the gap? Change becomes less about force and more about frequency. Less about struggle and more about signal. Now let's address one last layer, collective code. Many subconscious patterns aren't just personal. They're inherited. Cultural scripts, familial beliefs, social norms. These are quantum fields you were born into. And unless examined, they run your operating system by default. So ask, whose voice is this belief? Who installed this code? Is this mine? When you question the source, you begin to reclaim authorship. When you install new patterns, you don't just perform better. You reshape your field. Others feel it. You create ripple effects. You shift norms. That's quantum programming in action, not just for personal gain, but for collective transformation. So let's land this with one clear truth. Your subconscious mind isn't your enemy. It's your amplifier. It's not trying to sabotage you. It's trying to keep you safe using old maps. Give it a new map. Feed it new inputs. Show it new outcomes. And soon, it won't just follow the new code. It will start building your future around it. Next, we explore how the interplay between chaos and order, entropy and negentropy, can be used to not just survive uncertainty, but thrive inside it. In every system, whether physical, emotional, mental, or organizational, there is a constant pull toward disorder. This is known in physics as entropy. It's the natural tendency of things to break down, to lose structure, to move from complexity to randomness. It's not a flaw in the universe. It's a built-in law. In thermodynamics, entropy is the measure of how much usable energy remains in a system. As entropy increases, energy disperses, structure dissolves, and function declines. Left unchecked, everything trends toward decay. Now bring this into the human experience. When you stop tending to your focus, it scatters. When you stop curating your environment, clutter builds. When you stop working on your vision, apathy sets in. That's not failure. That's entropy. The good news? There's a counterforce, negentropy. This is the process of increasing order, clarity, structure, and coherence within a system. It's not just resistance to chaos. It's the intelligent use of energy to create systems that work better, grow stronger, and last longer. Peak performance doesn't come from eliminating entropy. It comes from understanding it and learning to convert it into fuel. Let's make this actionable. Every challenge you face, every disruption, every mess in your schedule, team, emotions, or output, that's a signal that entropy is rising. Don't panic. Don't resist. Instead, learn to harvest the chaos. Use it as a mirror to see where systems need redesigning, habits need upgrading, or focus needs sharpening. Entropy is not the enemy. It's the invitation. Let's explore 5 strategies to engage with entropy and transform it into momentum. 1. Create microstructures to resist energy decay. In quantum terms, systems lose coherence when left unobserved. The same is true for performance. If you don't build containers, structures to hold energy, it will disperse. Create tight, repeatable systems, morning rituals that anchor your state, calendar boundaries that guard deep work, weekly resets to reduce buildup. You're not removing entropy, you're redirecting it. Systems become scaffolds for negentropy. 2. Build anti-fragile thinking. Fragile systems break under stress. Resilient systems survive. But anti-fragile systems, those get better. They evolve through disorder. Start treating challenge as signal, not threat. When something breaks, pause and ask, what hidden lesson is being revealed? What pattern is being exposed? What upgrade is being requested? Entropy reveals weak points. Negentropy strengthens them. You're not avoiding chaos. You're integrating it. 3. Recognize chaos as a phase of reorganization. In systems theory, periods of breakdown often precede reordering at a higher level. The mind experiences this as confusion. Teams experience it as dysfunction. Projects experience it as friction. But underneath, something new is trying to emerge. Learn to stay present inside the storm. Don't collapse your standards or abandon the goal. Hold steady, watch carefully, and prepare to design forward. 4. Use energy spikes wisely. When entropy rises, when things start falling apart, you often experience emotional spikes. Anger, frustration, urgency, or anxiety. These are power surges. Most people burn them in reaction. Instead, pause. Capture the energy. Reinvest it into building a new system. Ask, what new rule, tool, or behavior can I install using this energy spike? You'll find that chaos often delivers exactly the charge you need if you don't waste it. 5. Declare negentropy as an identity. Don't just react to breakdowns. Proactively build systems that regenerate. Say, I am someone who turns noise into clarity. I convert disorder into design. Speak this out loud. Own it. The more your identity aligns with negentropy, the less personal entropy feels like defeat, and the more often it becomes your launchpad. Now let's zoom out. Entropy isn't just in your schedule. It lives in your habits, your mental loops, your relationships, and even your environment. Every drawer that's cluttered, every commitment that's vague, every habit that lacks rhythm. That's entropy asking for resolution. It's not chaos. It's a call. Negentropy doesn't require perfection. It requires engagement. You don't eliminate disorder, you organize it into something better. Let's make this even more practical. Here's your entropy to negentropy transformation map. Emotional entropy, self-regulation rituals. Breath, movement, journaling. Cognitive entropy, focus windows, single-task sprints, digital detox blocks. Physical entropy, workspace resets, environmental curation, sensory decluttering. Relational entropy, clear agreements, boundary statements, energy audits. Creative entropy, constraint-based innovation, limited tools, timed ideas, fast sketches. Wherever entropy shows up, there's a structure you can build, not to suppress energy, but to channel it. And here's the deeper insight. Entropy rises most right before breakthroughs. Right before you master a new skill, everything feels messy. Right before a team levels up, conflict emerges. Right before your nervous system adapts, fatigue peaks. That's not a problem. That's performance reorganization. You're not breaking, you're remapping. If you misinterpret these entropy spikes, you'll retreat. But if you embrace them, you'll upgrade. So let's go beyond resistance. Let's use entropy as a performance catalyst. Here's how to begin. Create a chaos log. Once a day, write down one area that feels disordered, one system you can improve, one micro-action to restore flow. This keeps your attention focused on intentional repair. Over time, you train your mind to expect order, not as control but as response. Because when the system is flexible, when the observer is conscious, and when the energy is well-directed, entropy becomes the birthplace of mastery. Let's now flip the story completely. You are not the victim of entropy. You are the architect of negentropy. You are not here to handle disorder. You are here to restructure energy into outcomes. This is the quantum lesson. Chaos is not the end. It's a doorway. Walk through it wisely, and you'll come out stronger, clearer, and more powerful than before. Next, we'll explore how the smallest consistent behaviors, when designed through the lens of quantum influence, can shape not just habits, but your entire energetic reality. Big change doesn't always start with big actions. In the quantum world, small shifts at the smallest levels can lead to massive transformations. A slight change in the spin of a particle, a tiny fluctuation in a field, and the entire system reorganizes. That principle applies just as powerfully to human performance. Most people overestimate what they can achieve with willpower and underestimate what they can achieve with consistency. They chase breakthroughs through intensity, but neglect the micropatterns that are shaping their identity every single day. Quantum physics shows us that influence doesn't require force. It requires alignment and frequency. You don't need more energy, you need the right signal sent repeatedly with clarity. In other words, your habits are quantum broadcasts. Each small action emits a frequency. That frequency interacts with your environment, your nervous system, and your internal narrative. Over time, those microsignals reprogram how reality responds to you. Your results aren't just shaped by effort, they're shaped by the quality of signal you send out through repeated behaviors. Let's make this incredibly practical. A quantum habit is a behavior small enough to repeat effortlessly, but powerful enough to shift your field when performed with precision. It's not about productivity. It's about identity reinforcement. Every time you perform the habit, you're not just taking action. You're voting for a version of yourself. That vote doesn't disappear. It accumulates. And with enough votes, your system switches allegiance from the old identity to the new one. Let's break down the anatomy of an effective quantum habit. Tiny enough to be done daily. Specific enough to feel real. Intentional enough to anchor identity. Energetic enough to change your state. Let's explore 5 domains where quantum habits generate exponential returns. 1. Physical field. Anchor the body to prime the mind. The body is the container of consciousness. Its state influences thought, mood, and energetic output. Quantum habit. Posture reset. 3 times per day, stop and reset your posture. Elongate the spine, open the chest, ground your feet. This habit recenters your nervous system, increases alertness, and broadcasts confidence. It takes 10 seconds, but shifts your frequency immediately. 2. Cognitive field. Rewire thought with language cues. Thoughts are electric. Language is a carrier of charge. The words you repeat become scripts the brain memorizes. Quantum habit. Power phrase loop. Choose one empowering sentence that matches your desired identity. Example: I respond with clarity. Say it internally 10 times at key transitions, before meetings, during stress, after waking. This pattern becomes neurological code. Thought follows rhythm. 3. Emotional field. Reset state before it becomes default. Emotion is frequency in motion. Left unobserved, it crystallizes into mood, then temperament, then identity. Quantum habit. 90-second resets. When a negative emotional state arises, pause. Breathe slowly. Observe without naming. Then shift to a state-aligned question like, what would clarity do here? This interrupts emotional looping and restores choice. You're not avoiding emotion. You're transforming its shape. 4. Environmental field. Shape the external to match the internal. Your environment is not neutral. It's a constant source of energetic input. Quantum habit. 3-minute environmental upgrade. Each morning, adjust one aspect of your space to match your next level self. Remove clutter, light a candle, adjust lighting, clean your workspace. These small actions signal to your system, This space belongs to the version of me I'm becoming. Reality begins to reflect it. 5. Energetic field. Tune your frequency through ritual. The body emits fields. The mind broadcasts intention. Ritual tunes them. Quantum habit. Daily frequency primer. Choose one 5-minute practice to set your energetic tone. Breathwork, movement, silence, mantra, or music. Do it at the same time each day. This becomes your field setter. The more consistent it becomes, the more your system entrains to it. This is your daily recalibration. Now let's go deeper. The reason most habits fail isn't because people lack discipline. It's because they lack energetic congruence. They try to bolt new habits onto old identities. That creates friction. But when you start with a shift in self-perception, and then link behavior to that perception, your system complies. Start every habit by asking, who is the version of me that does this automatically? Then act from that version. Not toward it. From it. This reverses the performance loop. Old way, do more, become better. Quantum way, become clearer, do effortlessly. You're no longer using habits to fix yourself. You're using them to stabilize signal. You're not chasing change. You're broadcasting reality. Now here's a powerful pattern shift. Focus on state-driven habits instead of outcome-driven ones. Traditional habit formation is obsessed with results. Lose weight, finish the book, earn more. But quantum habits anchor state. Calm, focus, vitality, precision. The more often you install these states, the more capable you become, and the outcomes handle themselves. Choose habits that are felt, not just measured. And here's the final key. Track signal, not streaks. Don't obsess over whether you missed a day. That's surface-level tracking. Instead, reflect, what signal did I send today through my actions? This keeps your attention on frequency. And frequency is what reality responds to. Let's close with a framework to design your personal quantum habit system. Identify the identity. Name the version of you that's waiting to stabilize. Speak it in the present tense. I am someone who operates from clarity. I am a person who creates structure daily. B. Select the micro-action. Choose a behavior so small it's frictionless. 30 seconds to 3 minutes. Make it tight, repeatable, and anchored to a time or trigger. C. Link to an existing anchor. Attach your new habit to something you already do. Wake up, drink water, open a laptop, brush your teeth. This creates automatic entry points. D. Track energetic shifts. After performing the habit, reflect briefly. How do I feel? What shifted? Log patterns. You're training awareness to track signal changes, not just tasks completed. E. Adjust based on frequency, not convenience. If a habit starts to feel flat, adjust it, not by dropping it but by upgrading its energy. Add movement. Add music. Add emotion. Keep the signal strong. When your habits become aligned broadcasts of your desired self, time works differently. You start gaining traction without strain. Your field begins to organize. Chaos quiets. Patterns form. People notice. And opportunity accelerates. You're not performing from effort. You're performing from resonance. And here's the deeper truth. The universe doesn't respond to wishful thinking. It responds to repeated signal. Quantum habits are those signals. Small, specific, frequent, energetic. Not because they help you stay busy, but because they tune your entire life to a frequency that matches your potential.